Hi, Alecia Daniel-Hall, and I am here to bring you the recap of the July 28th Pompano Beach City Commission meeting. Yes, I'm on the beach today. I'm taking a me day, so I moved the office to the beach, and I figured you guys won't get mad because this is Pompano Beach, and so it's okay. I'm actually on Deerfield Beach right now, though. I live on the border, smack dab on the border between Pompano Beach and Deerfield Beach, and so the Deerfield Beach is actually closer to my house, so this is where I frolic and play. But let's get into it. I will admit, this month's commission meeting wasn't as action-packed as last month's commission meeting, so it was very dry. Nothing fun really happened. No huge announcements. There's one good announcement that I'm going to give you, but it was pretty, cut and dry for the most part. Okay, so let's just go ahead and get into it. On the regular agenda, they have actually they're rezoning 2 lots that are on Circle Drive, and they're just going from residential 1 to residential 2, so it's not a huge deal, right? The ordinance for issuance of general obligation bonds and the aggregate amount not exceeding $81,625,000. This was the first reading of that ordinance, and it's related to one of the bonds that we, the people of Pompano Beach, approved on the most recent ballot. So that would have been last year's ballot. And so it's the first reading, it's been approved, and then it's going to be called up at the next meeting. It is hot, I'm sweating. The next thing, and this one is actually, this is the good thing that's happening. So every year they reassess the taxes, right? And so pretty much every year the taxes go up. But this year, remember last month when I went over how some of the ARPA funds were going to be used, and I had mentioned one of the things that they're going to be doing is they're not going to have to increase the tax rate this year. So this is the first portion of that being put into place, and this deals with the fire rescue assessment for the fiscal year, which begins on October 1st of this year, and it goes into next year, obviously. And so the purpose of the fire rescue assessment, in case you didn't know, is to provide a dedicated source for fire operations in the city. There will not be any increases this year. Yay! So the numbers are going to be the same as last year, but here they are. The numbers are $220 for residential units, $0.314 for commercial units, $0.168 for industrial units. Yes, I am sweating. $0.338 for institutional properties, and that's per square foot. Okay. The total estimated assessment is, ready for this? It's a lot. $22,605,688. And so they are going to be adopting, there's going to be a final public hearing to adopt it, and it's going to be September 13th at 5:15, and that's going to be the first public budget hearing for Pompano Beach. Okay. Then we have this is the second reading of an ordinance that's going to establish a one-time early retirement incentive for eligible firefighter members. It's going to be based on length of time in service and attained age. So how old are they now, right? And then we have another one, and this is a second reading where they're actually correcting the future land use map to reflect the proper land use purpose and designation for 2 properties. It's 2639 North Riverside Drive, which is also known as Hillsborough Light Towers Condominium, and 1340 South Ocean Drive, which is also known as the Claridge Condominium. And so they were at one point zoned as commercial, but they're going to be fixed. It's going to be zoned as commercial, as residential land use designation. And so what they're doing is they're making sure that the map will also be updated to properly show that these 2 properties are going to be zoned properly for residential use, because humans are going to be living there, and so humans don't live in commercial zones, right? Let's see. Second reading, modifying a non-conforming structure code requirements to allow for reconstruction of the Hillsborough Light Towers condominium and the Claridge condominium in case of damage over 50% of the value, regardless of the non-conforming status based on the fact that they are currently zoned as commercial. Again, they're fixing some things with those 2 properties. So this one is pretty cool. They're amending permitted uses for the B2 zoning districts, and this is going to be citywide. So anything that is going to be falling within the B2 zoning district, they're now adding laundromats as a permitted use in those zones. For some reason they weren't included, and what's going on is there's one particular company that wants to put up a laundromat in their area. I don't know the exact address of where it's going to be. It was asked and they did not give us the exact address. But what happened is they're currently in a B2 zone, and they had two options. One was rezone the use for that structure to B3. But when you do that, all of the abilities, all the different uses that are permitted under B3 would now transfer to that area. And that wasn't going to be needed. That would have been a huge change. So instead of doing that, what they're doing now is they're allowing properties they're allowing zone B2 to now include a laundromat. This is the first reading, which means it's going to come up again for a second reading in September. So if for some reason you have an objection, you want to be heard on it, do remember I'm going to give you the time at the end of what time and what date that next commission meeting is going to be. But these are public meetings, and you are all, as residents, you are allowed to go and voice your concerns on any of these measures. So like I said, first reading. And then the next thing is also a first reading, and this is authorizing city officials to sign an interlocal transportation engineering construction cooperative between the city of Pompano Beach, Broward Metropolitan Planning Organization, and several local municipalities. This is going to be $100,000 for the initial fee and $25,000 per year thereafter. The next thing is another first reading. And this is authorizing, this is a good one. This is authorizing city officials to sign a reinstatement and amendment, number 1, so it's the first amendment, to an agreement for disaster recovery management services. And the agreement was between Pompano Beach and Witt O'Brien's LLC. The agreement was actually put in place during Hurricane Irma. Based on FEMA's reading of the agreement, they needed to make some amendments solely for the purpose of reimbursing FEMA. So this is actually not going to cost us, the residents of Pompano Beach, anything. What's going on is the city is entitled to a reimbursement of funds that were spent from FEMA, and FEMA took a look at the agreement and they're gonna cut the check, but they needed some changes to the agreement. And so the city has voted on going ahead and making those changes, authorizing the city officials to sign the amendment so that we can go ahead and get our money. We need our coins, right? Because we are dealing with the government, and you want to make sure that if you have a request for money, you want to get it in timely. So what they did do at the hearing, and since this was only the first reading and you have to have a second reading, rather than delaying until the September hearing, what they did was called an emergency second reading. They don't do this often. You have to have a bona fide reason for doing so. And in this instance, the reason was we want to get that change done before the funding disappears on the federal level. So they went ahead, they did do the emergency second reading, and so it was approved. They're going to make the changes. We're going to get our coins. I don't know how much those coins are, but good to know we have money coming, okay? All right, this one is first reading, and it's an ordinance that's going to authorize the city officials to sign a lease agreement with FEC Row LLC for bus stops located within rail right-of-way along the eastern border of Dixie Highway between Northwest 3rd Street and Sample Road. Here's the background on this. The city acquired a portion of Dixie Highway as a part of a FDOT transfer agreement back in 2016. And a part of that agreement required the city to assume the bus stops that you see on Dixie. They had to assume the lease agreement because that property is actually owned by the Florida East Coast Railway. So now the agreement was originally the Florida East Coast with the FDOT, but now Pompano Beach is taken over and is going to be maintaining those bus stops, and so they have to actually sign the lease agreement to make sure that change gets implemented. It's a 5-year agreement for the total of $76,123, and it encompasses 13 bus stops that are along Dixie Highway. If you ever drive down Dixie, you know what the bus stops, you know exactly what I'm talking about. All right, we have a new BSO captain for Area 1. His name is Efren Torres, and Area 1 encompasses everything east of Dixie Highway. So yay! Efren was actually there at the meeting, so we did get to meet him. He's been with BSO for quite some time. I'm sorry I didn't write it down exactly how long, because he did actually speak, and he said, you know, he gave us a little bit of his background, and you know, he's been in public service for his entire adult career, which is always awesome. Thank you so much, Efren Torres. And then, oh, remember last month we were talking about the city incentive for vaccinations? Okay, so it rolled out, and I did provide a link to the application, and it's on the website. It's on the Pompano Beach .gov website, but I did provide it. It's somewhere in YouTube. I can add it to comments here also if you're looking at this video, so you can just go ahead and click on it. You don't have to go searching for the older video. But the city center has administered in total, and this is at City Center over by the Lowe's on US 1. 35,844 vaccinations have been administered at that location. Yay! I don't know if you remember, but at one point, I mean, it would be lines back to back. It's not as busy. I don't know if that's changed in the last week or so with the Delta variant, but I do know it was starting to wane down a little bit. The incentive program has rolled out, and so far there have been 113 qualified residents. So those are people who have received or are going to receive their incentive, which is a gift card. Instead of it being a Publix gift card, like I had mentioned that they were talking about at the last monthly meeting, it is just going to be a Visa gift card. I forget the exact amount. I think it was $250. It's either $200 or $250. But I'll put the information in because it's from last month, but I will put it in there. And in addition to the 113 people who have been qualified, there are also 157 applications that are pending for approval review. As of July 28th, the city of Pompano Beach had over 60% vaccinated to date. So that is great. We're getting there, guys. So the next meeting of the Pompano Beach City Commission is going to be September 28th, and it's going to be at 6 p.m. I hope this was informative. I tried. The Goodyear blimp is flying by. You can't see it, unfortunately, but you know, things are getting back to normal out here. So let me get back to my beaching. Again, remember Alecia Daniel-Hall, and I help people build and protect their net worth for future generations. I am a realtor and an attorney. I own Genesis Law PA, and my specialties are estate planning, probate, bankruptcy, and real estate. So if you know of anyone who's had a recent passing in their family, and they are in need of someone to assist with the probate, please think of me. Additionally, if you know of, or if you yourself know of someone who needs estate planning services, which includes wills, trusts, power of attorney, living wills, please think of me. Those are services that I provide through my law firm, Genesis Law PA. Have a great day, guys. By the way, the August commission meeting, there will not be an August commission meeting. That's why the next one is going to be September 28th. They're going to take a month off because at least they get like a couple of days of summer break, right? So cheers. I'll see you guys September 28th. Bye.